Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Strong Collectors Podcast. Today, we're going to be continuing our 10-part series looking at the 10 major factions within Mythic Legions. Today, we are starting the good guys factions. Last week, we wrapped up the bad guy factions. We're doing a giveaway over there with Bas the Horse. So if you haven't entered there, go back and watch those videos to get entered to win him. We're switching up the giveaway for the good guys factions now, and we're going to be giving away Arazak. Arazak is part of the newest Poxus wave, and I think Arazak can fit in well with your other lines if you don't collect Mythic Legions. He'll fit in with your Marvel Legends, Mezcos, things like that. You'll have a chance to win up to 5 entries, 1 entry per video. And I'm going to change up the way we do the entries for Arazak, but I'll get into that in just a second. Today, we're going to be looking at the Army of Leodysseus. We're going to be ranking these. I believe there's about 15 in this faction. I combined a version 2. I think we only had one version 2 of a character, but that's combined to be just one character. We're going to go through bottom to top, and we'll see where we line up. Remember, it's my list, so we may have a different list. I saw that a lot on the bad guy episodes. Some of my very bottom of the list was other people's very favorite figure in the faction, so it really goes to show that Mythic Legions really do have a figure for everyone. My worst figure is someone's favorite. There really are no bad figures within Mythic Legions. Now, let's get back to the giveaway before we get started with the Army of Leodysseus. So, since Arazak is coming out of my personal collection, I bought him. This isn't a part of like some sponsored giveaway or anything. I'm keeping one for myself, but I'm going to give away my second one. I'm going to make you do a little bit more work for these ones. I want to see your full ranking, so I'm going to leave a link in the description of each video that's going to take you to a tiers maker list. So you'll be able to use the exact same tier maker that I made. Take a screenshot of that and then post it in the Cabal. Make sure you tag me so I see it. I don't want you to post it and then maybe I'm not on Facebook that day and I miss it. So post it in the Cabal, tag me, give your full ranking. You can change the letter system. So I think I just have it as like A, B, C, D. You can change it to like must-haves, not interested in, great figure, good figure, things like that. Or you can leave it the letter system. It doesn't really matter. I'll know top level is your best figure, bottom level of the figures you're not as interested in. So a little more work in this series, but you will win a pretty cool figure in the end. So like I said, up to 4 entries. You can leave 1 ranking per video, and then I'll draw a winner at the end. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the Army of Leodysseus. Coming in at 15th place is the Iron Knight. This one I think is a great background character. It's a builder, so it doesn't have a lot of the paint schemes. It's not a named character, so it doesn't get that full treatment. I still think it's a good knight, like it's just a general knight, but if I was going to pick, I would pick something with a little bit more paint apps to it because I'm not a great painter, so I don't want to have to add those in myself. But for pop and swaps, builders can be nice, but I haven't done a lot of swaps with the 2.0s, so for me, that's why this one is at the bottom of the list. Next up, we have the Dwarf. This is the Legion Builder Dwarf. A little bit more color on this guy than the Iron Knight, so that's why it ranks higher there. Go back and watch some of the villain videos. Dwarves aren't my favorite in Mythos, so that's why he's a little bit lower, and I think there are a lot cooler dwarves, especially that we're going to see here in the good guy factions, so the Builder Dwarf just doesn't rank quite as high as those others. In 13th place, we have the Deluxe Legion Builder Gladiator. Now this is one that I actually bought to try to practice my painting skills on, and I made a post in the Cabal about how I was disappointed when I opened this figure because it was too good. I was expecting something that I would want to paint, and then straight out of the box I was like, actually this figure is good as is. I don't feel like I need to add paint to him. Maybe I will down the road, but I think this figure is pretty cool just straight out of the box, especially for a Legion builder. Again, the Iron Knight was all kind of the same color. This guy has the different colored armored arm, even his loin piece, his shield, his helmet. There's a little bit more color going on with him, so that's why I think he fits just right out of the box. Moving up into 12th place, we have the Knight Builder. Now this one ranks a little bit higher because, like I said, there's a little bit more paint to it. This one also comes with quite a bit of accessories, so I think that brings it up in the rankings for me, just because you have different options for a knight within one box. It is going to cost a little bit more, but I think here you're getting a pretty good value because you have the different colored parts. You can swap the torso, multiple shields, tons of different weapons. I think this comes with 3, 4 heads, something like that. So you're getting a lot of value within one box, and that's why it ranks a little bit higher than the other knight for me. Next, we have Bas the Horse. Now, I think this is probably your best non-Mythic Legion horse. So it works with Mythic Legions, but I think as far as your other characters go, I've seen a lot of people pose the Mezco Conan with this. I think this is just a good general horse for most other 1/12 scale action figures. The colors of this horse make it just a good horse for almost anything. It could be a good horse, it could be a bad horse. Use it for your cowboys, use it for your knights. And I think this probably got a lot of people looking at Mythic Legions because I don't think that anybody else is doing horses quite like Mythic Legions. I really do think they're the best on the market, especially for this price point. I don't really look at anything more expensive than this because if it is, I mean, how much better could it be than this horse, honestly? Making it into the top 10 is Vitus. This one is one that I actually got, and it came with a custom soft goods cape. I think that made this figure even a little bit cooler for me. I had him as more of my spear master, so I had 2 spears across his back, and then I had a spear in each hand. For some reason, it just seems like he would be chucking spears in the arena. We don't have a ton of Mercurians in Mythos yet, so that's where I think it's cool to get this guy. I do like his colors here. I'm not sure if they're going to mix with Sir Andrew and other figures that kind of have this copper color to it, but it might be close enough if you keep some distance where he's got the armored glove and then the skin and then the armored torso. I like the faction logo on the shield. We've seen before, and we're going to see again some more ornate shields with the faction logos, and I like those a little bit more, but it's still a good touch just on top of being a plain shield. In 9th place, I have Otho. I think this is on a lot of people's want list because it's such an old figure, and I don't think there was a lot of them produced at the time. So I would expect before too long we're going to probably be seeing a version 2 of Otho. I don't think we'll get this same version again. I think he's too important of a character to the line to just get a remake. I like the silvers and the blues. I like his hair. I think this is a pretty cool figure, and I'm really excited to see what 4 Horsemen can do with a version 2. Next up is the Gold Knight, and this I'm going with the version 2 of the Gold Knight because it comes with the extra head. I think this guy is going to be really good for popping and swapping, especially when you start getting into other gold characters, like if you have Liege, if you have Magnus, if you have Monkey King even. A lot of those figures are going to go well together. And then I think on top of that, I just like the idea of having some gold knights. I think to me, they're very clearly like the good guys of the knights, maybe fighting the black knights. I like the blue plume. I do like both of the heads that come with this version too. I probably wouldn't display him with the spear. The spear's not really my favorite weapon within Mythos. My knights are all going to be holding swords. And for even more head options, you can use the gold helmeted head that came with the green Father Christmas. So a lot of options for this guy. And then also just straight out of the box, I think is a good figure. 7th place for me is the Red Shield Soldier. Now, up until recently, I think this one would have been towards the bottom of my list, but I think I must have missed that this guy came with so many alternate heads, because if I'm basing it just off of this head that we see here, kind of this frog-looking helmet, I really am not a fan of this helmet at all. So I would be swapping this off, probably selling that helmet, and then using some of the other helmets that come with it, and I think those look really cool. And this, I think, would be what I would use as my just standard general knight. Good for the background, but also he's got enough of the paint details on him, I think, to put him at the front of the group. We still have a lot of other named characters that I think are a lot cooler than him, but if you just need a plain generic knight, I think this one does the trick really well. In 6th place, just missing out on the top 5, is Cowos, and this one is a Motu tribute for Battle Cat. I really like the fact that this guy comes with 2 shields, because I imagine kind of like, I don't know whether they're shoulder pads or what they are on Battle Cat, but he kind of has those 2 round discs up by his shoulders. Would doubt he's going into battle with 2 shields. I'm a sucker for the Jaguelians. He comes with an orc head, but I think the greens are just a little bit too bright to make him fit in with the orcs. So that's where I would always display him with the Jaguelian head. I've never really loved this neck fur with the Jaguelians. I feel like we almost need more of an armored torso with them. As far as Motu tributes go, this one is pretty high up on my list of favorites. Delgar makes it into the top 5. Like I said, we don't get a lot of Mercurians. He gets bonus points for that. I also like the big hammer. He comes with a sword and shield. This one, I kind of like the concept of him too, where somebody paid to have their likeness as a Mythic Legion. I think that makes him a little bit more rare. I don't think we're going to see a version 2 of this guy. Maybe an all-star, but I'm not sure if he's ever been a part of the voting for that. I like the color of his armor quite a bit. I like the one armored up arm, the armored lower torso, and then the bare arm and chest. I think that's a cool combination, and just the greenish, bluish mix with the black and gold. I'm a big fan of the colors on this guy. In fourth place, I have Hadriana. This one is one that was high up on my list when I first got into Mythic Legions. I was able to pick her up. I like the lion helmet. I think it just very clearly shows that she's kind of one of those top-ranking Army of Leodysseus characters. I like that she comes with the spike ball mace type thing. She has the sword with the sheath. She's got a giant hammer. Anytime there's a giant hammer or giant mace, I'm a sucker for those. She's got 2 soft goods capes, and I've seen Dorklayer do a pop and swap with her and the Valiant Knight, which I think looked really cool. I don't do a lot of pop and swaps with the 1.0s, but there are some really cool possibilities, and this is just kind of an overall very good 2.0 figure. In third place, I have Magnus. This is a figure that I don't have yet, but I would like to get. I think some people think he's maybe overrated. I think some people have him as their number 1. I think the head sculpt you can put on almost any armored body and it's going to work really well. I like his weapons that he comes with. Like I was saying with the Gold Knight, this is another one that you could pop and swap with. Adding other gold figures to it, I think adding maybe a red soft goods piece for maybe a cape or loincloth would be really cool. Overall, I think this guy just has a very good presence. He seems like he'd be wise but battle tested. And definitely a figure that I don't know that we're going to see in an all-star anytime soon because he is one of the more recent figures, but eventually I would like to get him. Coming in second place is Fosa. Now, I might be a little bit biased here because this is number 1 on my list of figures that I want to get. I voted for her in the all-star. I really didn't have any expectation that she was going to win it, but I do want this figure pretty bad. I love the black and gold and red combinations, and I like that each of those colors stands out pretty significantly. I like the soft goods cape with the plastic hood. I just usually tend to like the plastic hoods a little bit more than the soft goods. And then I think her alternate head is probably how I would display her all of the time. I think that is such a cool look with kind of that Templar cross bucket helmet. And then the giant mace. Again, like I said, if you've got a giant mace, that's going to give you extra points in my book. So again, number 1 on my list of characters I'd like to get. If anybody out there wants to send me one, I would be eternally in your debt. And coming in first place, we have Attila Leosir. I went with version 2 here because I think it is leaps and bounds cooler than the first version. Like I said, the faction shield, you can pretty much guess if anybody comes with one of these faction shields, they're going to be high up on my list. I think the soft goods cape with him is one of the better looking soft goods capes that we have. If ever there was a royal and regal king ready for battle, this is exactly what it would look like. He's got the head of a lion as a helmet, his shoulder pauldrons with the crazy details. He just looks like jacked within this armor and ready to go defend the land. And I said Fosa was at the top of my list. I think the Attila Gorgo 2-pack is right up there next to it. Probably going to get them just because they're newer, a little bit more affordable. But yeah, this figure is just, I think, again, another figure that outside of Mythic Legions, you could just have this guy on a shelf by himself and it would look amazing. And then here's my thought process breakdown of how I ranked these figures. Again, this is how you will enter to win the giveaway for these 5 episodes. Go to the description of the video to find the link to make your own tiers list. And like I said, you can change up the name of the categories that you rank them into. Post this into the Cabal, tag me, Dakota Phillips, and then I'll see them and you'll be entered to win the giveaway. Make sure you stick around because we're going to keep going with these good guy factions in the next episode.